You think it's much more than what it actually is just because you never had it before.
100%.
But you'll learn quickly, oh snap, this ain't as much as I thought.
Right.
It's real, it's real.
Exactly. And then it's like a seesaw. You made your first meal in one business, you take your attention off because you didn't replicate yourself in that business, right?
They're gonna say, man, I just can't do it. This is not for me. This stuff ain't even look real.
No bank is giving you no type of money without any type of proof of concept, whether it's revenue, and damn sure not a personal guarantee. I mean, without a personal guarantee.
Right.
Since the recession 2008, that's gone.
I got an amazing guest for y'all. He's about to come and drop a lot of game, a lot of jewels, and I'm excited to have him on the show. His name is Stedman Waiters. Welcome to the show, brother.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. Glad to be here, brother.
I'm glad to have you here, man. So let's get straight to it, man. You primarily in the business funding space, but I want to get some background on you. Like, let the people know real brief, like who you are, what you do, where you come from, how you got into this.
100%. So my name is Stedman Waiters, CEO of Waiters Capital. That's my business funding company name. Started off just like most other people growing up, playing football. I was an athlete my whole time. That's all I cared about was football. Was able to play college football, played Division I at Georgia Southern, was able to graduate there, and then went into the 9-to-5 world, corporate America. I was an engineer for a little while, I want to say almost 2 years. While doing that, I saw that corporate America wasn't what people make it, but growing up in our...
What you mean by that?
What I mean by that is your potential, I feel like is kind of capped when you're in corporate America, depending on where you're at in corporate America and what you're doing, right? And depending on what your goals is. Everybody's goals is different, but me personally, I wanted more for myself. And I felt like corporate America wasn't going to be able to provide that to me. It was a good leverage and segue into business. I would never tell anybody to not work to go straight into business,
right.
But just for the potential and things that I wanted, I feel like I was capped. You know what I mean? So that's when I started into business, got a coach, learned about business funding, understood credit, and was doing the side hustle thing, built that up, and then transitioned to being a full-time entrepreneur.
I like that. So let me ask you this. When it comes to funding, what's the biggest mistakes? Because everybody, especially in these times, they're trying to get a bag to get their business rolling or sustain their business. Because we know if you ain't got no funding, that's the bloodline, that's the lifeline of the business. So what's the biggest mistakes you see right now that business is making when they trying to get out here and get that funding?
That's a couple of things, bro. So one, maxing out your personal cards to fuel your business, like maxing out personal credit cards to fuel your business. What happens is your utilization becomes high, and then you kind of maxed out, your credit score drops, and now you kind of lock yourself out of securing business funding. So that's one thing. The second thing is not really understanding credit and how it works and just praying to God that somebody's going to approve you for something. You know what I'm saying? It takes more when it comes to funding than just saying, oh, I got a 700. Understanding credit, understanding how to build out your credit profile, how to have the right to comparables to be able to get approved.
Could you go into that more? Because like a lot of times how many of us come up and how we told about credit is like, we just need a 700 plus score and we good. So break that down when you say that alone is just not enough.
100%. So one thing I tell my students and just people on my team, a 700 is not built the same. You can have a 700 with, let's say, a trade line,
right.
Rent reporter showing your rent on there, and one credit card with a $500 limit. You still have a 700. That's not the same as somebody that has a 700 with 3 credit cards with $2,000 limits, a mortgage, maybe an auto loan, and a paid off personal loan. So you want to have a more established credit profile. How you can do that is start by with secured accounts. That's one thing that people don't like, but I teach a lot because it helps you build that comparable. It's getting secured credit cards, getting secured loans, because those are comparables that can help you once you apply for your first credit card, your first loan, to be able to get approved. Because now an underwriter can look at your profile and say, hey, this person has comparables that we can base lending off of.
So why do you think people don't like secured credit cards so much?
Because they got to put their money up, or it's just regurgitated information, but they don't understand. And I say this all the time. How deep are you in the credit space?
Like I know my personal credit. Like I can't teach somebody on like this what you do. Like I know like how to do my own stuff. Like you know what I'm saying. Like I understand credit, but not to no point where I'm gonna be like trying to. I can teach somebody the basic. You know what I'm saying.
Exactly. So I'm gonna break it down like this. If I'm an underwriter, if I'm working at a bank, and your application comes in front of my desk and I got to approve or deny you, if I can't see comparables like other banks have given you credit cards or personal loans before that you've done right with, I want to see whether you have, like I said, those comparables or you're liquid. What but I mean liquid meaning that you have money. So with a secured product, you putting your own money up, but it shows the underwriter that you have money, that you're liquid. You know what I mean?
Right.
Meaning that you have the money to be able to invest into something. That way they can trust you with 10K, 5K, 15K, because with a secured product, you're putting your money up. A bank is not fronting you money. You know what I mean? So that shows that you're liquid and that you're able to handle 5K, 10K when it comes down to it.
If you had to say one thing that since you've been in business, whether is you seen somebody do or something that you done on this journey that you like, man, I'll never do that again. That mistake I made was crazy, but you learned from it. What is that so the listeners could get game from that?
One thing I would say is trying to do too many things at one time. I talk about this so much. Beginner entrepreneurs, they get shiny object syndrome. They get caught with an ad. They get caught with something. They see somebody making money in a different industry, and they're like, oh, if so-and-so can make money in that industry, I'm going to do this industry too.
Facts.
I'm telling you, the people that apply with my company and speak to my reps, when they tell us they got 6, 7 different businesses, 95% of the time, they ain't making no money in none of them.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
Because we only have 24 hours in a day and we're only one person. So we can't afford to put all of our time into 7 different businesses. God forbid you got a job and you got a family. We ain't going nowhere.
That's
you know
real.
what I mean?
And what's so crazy about that is that also applies to people that are doing really good and make good business. I think, in my opinion, the biggest mistake that entrepreneurs make, especially ones that start making good money, good bags, is they try to diversify into a bunch of things way too quick. Like you might have made your first $1 million, your first $2 million. Now you like, on paper, in your mind, you like, I got all this money to do this, but you don't realize like you got to sustain all these things if you try to get into all these things at once. And then you're not even an expert in those things. You're an expert at what you do.
Exactly.
And now you're trying to get into trucking. You're trying to start a clothing line. You're trying to open another business. You're trying to do this, but like you're not an expert at those things. And that money you got is not as much as you think it is. So you start dispersing this capital and all these different things. More than likely, what I see is people end up failing because they not sticking with this one thing that's working, that's going crazy. Like, bro, stick with that for a while before you venture into something else. And then when you want to venture something else, become an expert at that thing, you know, or go down that path first, do a lot of research. Don't just, I got the money, I'm gonna try this now. Because that shit don't work, bro.
100%. And people don't realize, like, business is not as easy as people make it seem. Like people make it look easy, but you don't know what it took for that person to get to their first $1 million. You might see the award or the plaque when they make their first $1 million, but that person could have been in business for 10 years when they made their first $1 million. But because of the internet, it makes everybody think that everybody's an overnight success. Another thing that I want to talk about as well when it comes down to it, starting multiple different businesses, you got to understand that every business has a learning curve. Right? The same knowledge, the same execution, the same resources it may take to start a trucking business is not the same thing it takes to start an Airbnb business. It's not the same thing it takes to get into real estate. It's not the same thing it takes to get into business funding. So when you diverse your portfolio too soon, you're basically setting yourself up for failure.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Because you have nowhere to go. Like you're one person. Mm-hmm. You're one person and you're trying to do 10 different things. It's no way you can be successful because we only got 24 hours in a day. Right? It's like me taking, if we get 7 cups and put it on here, we got 1 bottle of water. We can only fill up each cup with a certain amount of water because we only have 1 bottle of water. Mm-hmm. But if we trim that down to 1 or 2, we can overflow that cup. You know what I mean? Yep. That's how you have speed to success. That's one thing I talk about as well, having speed to success by hyper-focusing on what you're doing and then growing from there. And then to add to that, bro, one thing that's crazy that I don't see a lot of people on why they don't do it, even if you made your first $1 million, $2 million in a business and you're an expert or you're successful at that, instead of trying to start something new, why not vertical integrate? You familiar with vertical integrate?
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, so let's break it down for the people just in case they don't know. So if I have a business funding company and I'm very, very successful at that, 7 figures, whatever the case may be, I have a bunch of knowledge. I know what brokers like, what they don't like. I understand the customer, the client acquisition process. Why not vertical integrate and start a software? Facts. Right? Because you have the pain points of what it is to be a broker. You know what it's like to actually fulfill when it comes to the funding industry. Why not vertical integrate and start a software? Now you have a software that you can use for your team, but you also can sell to other people as well. And you understand because you're in the industry. Right. What happens with people when they start software companies, they're on the outside looking in. So they're asking people in the industry, what are they looking for? But if you're in the industry, you understand what people are struggling with. You understand what are the pain points, what they like, what they don't like. And you're able to create a software that will scale. You probably can make your first $1 million quicker with the software than you can the business. You know what I mean?
Bro, that's so real because like we just mentioned, a lot of people when they start getting the money, they want to start other things. And like you perfectly said, there's nothing wrong with it as long as it's vertically integrated. But when you go into something that ain't got nothing to do with what made you this money, you putting yourself at a great risk. And then that's what I keep saying. You realize the money because people, they will overinflate or overvalue what they have. If it's your first time with 100 bands, first time with 200, first time with $1 million, you think it's much more than what it actually is just because you never had it before. 100%. But you will learn quickly if you're trying to do too many things at once that, oh, snap, this ain't as much as I thought.
Right.
It's real. It's real.
Exactly. And then it's like a seesaw. It's like a seesaw, right? So you made your first meal in one business. You take your attention off because you didn't replicate yourself in that business, right?
Right.
Like you're just hustling. You didn't fully replicate yourself.
Right.
And you put your attention into another business. That $1 million ain't gonna come in next year. Excuse me. Just because you made that first $1 million don't mean every year after that you're going to make $1 million. You know what I mean? You still have to replicate and build up processes, SOPs, and be able to really build out the team to handle that. You know what I mean?
That's so real, bro. But I want to talk about mindset for a second. Like, talk about the mindset that's needed to have when you talk about getting funded, because we know what comes with this is rejection.
Mm-hmm.
You may get rejected several times, and as we know, many people don't handle rejection well. They're gonna say, "Man, I just can't do it. This is not for me. This stuff ain't even real." So what is the mindset you need to have to go into this?
Perfect. So we're going to break that down in two categories, and I want to ask you which one you want me to explain first.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about the mindset for a business owner trying to secure funding and getting denied? Or are you talking about the mindset of somebody that has a funding company that's essentially a broker that's like getting a bunch of no's from clients that they're looking to fund?
I was primarily talking about a business that wants funding for their business, but they getting denied.
Let's break it down because obviously I want to show love to my funding people as well, right?
Yeah.
So
do both.
If you're a business owner and you're getting denied, you got to understand it's business and you got to take your emotions out of it. That's the biggest thing that I see a lot of entrepreneurs lack. Is they're too emotional when it comes to business instead of speaking with logic and being consistent. How about you reverse engineer and figure out why you're getting denied? Because when you're denied, they give you an adverse action letter, right? And then be able to trace where that's coming from to be able to adjust, fix that, and then go back in when it comes down to it. One thing, like I said, that I think business owners need to understand is a little bit of financial literacy. You don't have to be an expert, but understanding what you have and your odds of actually being improved. For example, if you got a 550 credit score, your credit's not built out, and you have no revenue in your business, there's no way in hell you can think that you're going to get approved, right? You don't just apply and think, oh, they're going to mess with me. Or you get caught with one of these social media marketers saying, Chase giving out the bag with a 500 credit score. The bank legally has to give you money. They don't have to give you anything. You know what I mean? So like really just understanding what your issue is and being able to fine tune that, correct it, and then go at it the right way. When it comes down to the business aspect, you being a funder, you owning being a broker, owning a funding company, you got to understand that numbers is everything, right? So in my funding company, we have like a 30% close rate. What does that mean? People look at 30% like, damn, that's low or maybe that's high. But you got to understand, at a 30% close rate, if we talk to 100 people, 70% of people say no and 30 people say yes. And that's actually a good close rate when it comes to sales, really right? Good. But people don't understand that. They get very discouraged when they get into business and they get a bunch of no's and not understanding that you're not talking to enough people. You're not generating enough leads to be able to get a yes. You know what I'm saying? If you only talk to 10 people, you expect all 10 to say yes to you. No, it doesn't work like that. It's numbers. It's a numbers game. So being able to have the right numbers, continue to talk to people and be consistent with what you're doing at your craft and building on top of that. The people that are usually the most successful in business are the ones that stay consistent. They don't have to be the smartest. Yeah. They don't have to be the most talented.
Facts.
They don't have to be the best marketer. They just stay consistent at their craft and build on top of it. They don't get, discouraged or eluded with different distractions like starting other businesses or whatever the case may be. They say, no, this is my industry and I'm gonna master this industry and I'm gonna stay down until I get better at it. That's the only way you get better at something. It's by continuing to do it in time.
No, that's a fact, bro. And what would you say some steps that people can take to make their business fundable? So let's say somebody just started their business, right? They probably got decent credit or whatever, but they want to get to the point where they could actually go in there and get the money that they want. Like, what are some steps that can help them with that process?
100%. So I would say the first thing is just making sure your business is in a low-risk industry. That's structuring your business the right way. So many people say you need a business phone number and all these good stuff.
Right.
I'm kind of against it. If it makes sense for you to have it for the business that you run, you can get an 800 number and all that different stuff and saying to get you done in Bradstreet. Personally, we fund people, like I said, with their Gmail, their cell phone. It's just really based down to your credit. But if you want to structure your business the right way because it's best practice, obviously you want to have a landing page, a good website, make sure in the low risk industry, whatever industry that you're in, understand how that industry works, and then also having a great credit profile to build out to be able to get the fund that you're looking for. If you're starting out, you need to make sure you build your personal credit report first. A lot of people like Kickoff and Self when it comes to credit builders. I'm a little bit against that. I like Tomo. I like Credit Strong because those are better primary accounts that you can use and combine those with secure credit cards from a Navy Federal, from a Capital One, from a Discover, you know what I'm saying, to be able to boost out and build that comparable that you're looking for on the personal side. Once you let those things age, you then can move over to the business side and you should be able to get the fund that you're looking for.
What's the worst business or funding advice you ever heard? I know we all on social media, we see crazy stuff.
Man, look, it's a couple. And I kind of like, every time I see it, I just laugh. You know what I mean? So there's one thing about no PG funding. I'm pretty sure you probably heard of it, right? Right? All right, so let's break it down. No PG funding, for you guys that are watching this and don't understand, is no personal guarantee funding. So people really think that they can build their business credit, go into a bank, have no real business, no records of making any type of money, no proof of concept, and a bank will give them $20, $30, $50, $100,000 with no personal guarantee.
But why do people really believe that? Why do you think that is?
I think because people are in vulnerable stages where their credit may not be where they want it to be, and they want to do something so bad or get access to money so bad that they want to believe that they're very vulnerable at that time. So it's just like catching a girl after a breakup.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
she probably, you know, in a vulnerable stage, she's down for whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like you catch people in a vulnerable state and you're talking the language and stuff they want to hear, but it's in reality, you're setting them up for failure because no bank is giving you no type of money without any type of proof of concept, whether it's revenue, and damn sure not a personal guarantee. I mean, without a personal guarantee, since the recession 2008, that's gone. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard to get a no PG type of anything when it comes down to it. And really what no PG is corporate credit. Corporate credit, you got to be making $3 million or more in annual revenue to actually get access to that. And that's the no PG. And I don't know too many people making $3 million more in a business that's even looking for a no PG.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right, exactly. What do you think overall when it comes to the advice online that you see when people talking about business funding, business period, if you had to say on a percentage, how much of it is good advice? What percentage would you say?
I would say maybe 30 to 40% of it is good advice.
It's good advice.
Yeah. The rest of it is trying to go viral, trying to, you know, get people to hear what they want to hear. Like people want to hear hacks. People want to hear some quick, I can get this money this way, right?
By Tuesday.
But in reality, you know what I'm saying? In reality, that's not really how business works. It's not how funding works. You know what I mean? Like if it's a hack, it may be a play, but you got to have good credit or something. Or number two, if it's too good to be true, it's probably illegal. You know what I'm saying? Just being honest with you when it comes down to it. Like when it comes to funding, you either got to have the credit or the revenue. And that's one thing on the breakdown as well. If you have an optimized credit score, let's say 720, you got the right credit profile, you can secure funding. Or if you're an existing, more established business owner, you can have as low as a 500. But if you're making at minimum $10,000 a month in business monthly revenue, then you can go revenue-based financing and secure funding that way as well. So you either got to have money or credit when it comes down to funding. If you don't got money, right, showing through like bank statements, tax returns, and you don't have the credit, then you got to figure out the credit part, or you better start generating money in your business be able to secure that financing.
What would you say? What have you ever seen any like wild or unusual requests for funding?
All the time, man.
Really?
Yeah. We get emails, just random emails, because we're growing. A dude sent us an email saying, hey, he sent us a screenshot. It's just stupid. Like, hey, I got $1 million in this account offshores. I just need funding against that. He want to leverage that, but his credit's bad. And I'm like,
he want to leverage his money in the offshore account?
Yeah, like he's basically saying, hey, I got this money in the offshore account that I can't touch. Are you guys basically able to lend to me? Because I got the money, I just can't get it, and I need money now.
From a screenshot?
Yeah, man. Just crazy stuff, bro. We get crazy stuff like that. We get people that's like, they get on the phone, they want to tell us their whole life story and why they need the money. And then we're like, okay, how's your credit? No credit. Okay, do you have a business that you're currently generating revenue out of? No. I mean, unfortunately, we can't really help you until you fix your credit. You know what I'm saying? It's just the name of the game. Because when you're dealing with money and you're in that finance space, it's very weird. People are very desperate at times, and you got to understand what you have. They think that you're giving them money, but I'm just a broker. You know what I'm saying? I'm not actually lending them money.
Right. You're not actually, they think it's coming out of your pocket.
Yeah, like I'm just trying to hand the money, but that's not necessarily what's going on when it comes down to it. So it's one of those things where you just got to cipher and understand, like, hey, I know you want the money, but there's steps you got to get to. Would you give somebody money if you didn't know them, if they had no proof of concept that they can flip the money, or that their credit report, their transcript basically showed you that it was an unreliable person? Nobody would give money. Right. So you want to understand what position you is and set yourself up for success instead of failure. You know what I mean?
In 2025, and this is your opinion, what I'm about to ask you, what you think is more valuable or more important to have as a business owner, credit or cash?
I say credit.
Really?
I say credit. I would say give me real life examples before I give you that. So how much cash we talking about?
Okay,
let me rewind.
Okay, let's say $25 million line of credit, 10 million cash.
Huh. I would still say the cash you're not paying interest on. I would say the 25 million line of credit.
Really?
Yeah. Only reason why I'm gonna bet on myself. I feel like if I had that 25 million line of credit, it's reusable, one, and then also on top of that, I can flip that. You know what I mean? I can take that, liquidate that, invest that into something, bring that back, pay back the line of credit, and still make money off of that. It's infinite, right? You could do the same thing technically with cash, but once it's gone, it's gone. You don't have that again unless you put that into an asset that's going to bring you back more of that. So I would say the line of credit, man. Just be honest.
You know they about to call you crazy. They gonna be like, he tripping. Yeah. But I see what you're saying though, especially because everybody not gonna feel that way. If you're not a risk taker or you're not an entrepreneur, business line of person, of course you would see that and be like, oh, he tripping. Like there's no way he taking 25 million credit over 10 million cash. But like you said, if you're willing to bet on yourself, you used to betting on yourself. In our minds, we thinking, I could turn this 25 to 50.
Exactly.
And with the 10 cash, that's a lot of money cash liquid. But it's still it's less than 25.
Exactly. And let's just break it down for the normal person that may be thinking like the 10 million cash, right?
Right.
If they never had that much money in their life, they either gonna blow on it or sit on it.
Facts.
They either gonna blow it and they gonna change their whole lifestyle. They gonna become a little baby. They gonna be good. They gonna be sitting up. They gonna have 6 different cars, all this crazy stuff, right? Either gonna blow it or they gonna sit on it. The most common person, it's gonna be a small percentage that will like say, hey, I'm gonna invest this. Some people would sit on it because they never seen that much money before. They're scared to make a move. And when you sit on money, it's not moving. You just got that 10 million, but okay, cool. You gonna survive with that 10 million for the rest of your life? Right. Is that gonna set up the next generation as well? Or are you gonna put this into something that's gonna make money, right? Or like I said, you're just gonna blow it, start living this crazy lifestyle, investing into 7 different businesses because they got money now and not knowing what they're doing. So me personally, I would go with the line of credit because at the end of the day, my mindset is I have access to this money, but it's not my money. So I need to flip this money to generate money that's actually mine. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's how I would look at it with the 25 mil. It's just having that capital. And that's one thing my mentors always ask me too, is like, how much you spending, how many people you talking to, what the numbers you looking at.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense. And this is a double question I'm about to ask you. And the first part is, you've been in business, you killing it. How long would you say in your mind that you've been making like good money, like really good?
Mm-hmm.
Because how old are you?
28.
Okay, 20. You still young.
Yeah. I would say probably a year and a half of really good money. Okay. And really good money is your perspective. Some people think really good money is 20K a month. Some people think really good money is 100K a month, right? But I would say for about a year and a half of making really good money, just to kind of give you an idea, it's not 20, 30, 40K a month. I was making that as a like engineer doing this part-time. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying it just depends on what you're looking for. But everybody is not me, and I had to like take myself out of my own shoes and my own ego. Like I work my ass off. I'm still working my ass off. I got a 7-figure business and I'm still working my ass off every day. You know what I mean? I'm very structured. But people think that when you start making money, you take your foot off the gas, and that's the wrong thing to do. Yep. Right? Because business, there's nothing promised.
Nothing.
You can make $1 million this year and be dead broke next year.
Facts.
And what's gonna happen is the same people that was cheering you on when you made your first $1 million will be the same people that be talking about you when you lose your first $1 million.
You fell off.
Right? Like, damn, what happened to bro?
Yep.
He was just up. He got this, he got that. And you gonna go viral off of that.
Facts.
And this world is crazy. Like, positivity doesn't get as much love when you're giving the right message and spreading out love, but negativity spikes, bro. It goes viral so quick. And I'm like, why is this world like this? You know what I mean?
Bro, you really talking some real stuff. And I asked that question because you said 1.5 years. So has there been, and this is why I'm asking the question, because I'm 30, I don't know, I'm 31. I'll be forgetting my age now, bro. I'm 31, but I became a millionaire on paper at 28.
Mm-hmm.
And shortly after that, you know, because that's a goal that I always wanted, I started wilding, taking L's and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm asking, like, have you experienced that yourself?
100%. So me personally, everybody takes L's. I take L's to this day. Like a detrimental L where I've been like out on my ass. Nah. The only reason why I say that though, and this is an important part, is because I got coaching for that. That's what I invested into coaches and mentors for.
I love that answer,
right?
bro.
Like I started off with entrepreneurship fairly young. I was like 23, 24. And one of my first coaches was already an 8-figure earner, operating a business funding at a high level. You know what I mean? So I literally just became a mimic of him. The way he dressed, the way he carried himself, the way he talked, the way he went about things. I literally did that because I wanted to have similar results as him. I didn't just say, oh, he did this, I'm gonna do this. I'm stupid. Why would I do that? If I haven't made $1 million and somebody has, why would I say that person's wrong if I want that same outcome that they have? Now I'm gonna follow exactly what they do. I may do it my own little twist, but I'm not gonna go against what they say. So one thing I feel like God has blessed me with, and you know, God willing, I don't have any big L's in the future. Right. I just follow directions and execute. You know what I'm saying? If somebody told you, yo, I did this and this happened, why would you do that same thing expecting a different outcome?
Yo, I think that's so real. But I think a lot of people struggle with that because a lot of people don't like to follow or they don't know how to follow. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with, we all got to follow at some point. And there's nothing wrong with, somebody told me this a long time. They said there's nothing wrong with being a copycat as long as you copying the right cat.
Yeah, it's not.
and I think a lot of people, we really struggle with that because we want to do things on our own. We want to create our own blueprint. But it's like if it's a blueprint already set that you can follow and it's a person that you actually have access to, why not follow it?
Exactly.
Go ahead.
And I was about to say, like, when people say that, like, you don't have to be an innovator and just paint a whole new wave of stuff. Like business hasn't changed. Business has been around for hundreds of years. It was around before we were born. It's going to be around when we die.
Yep.
The same cycle happens again over and over and over again, depending on what you're born into. You may be born into a entrepreneurship type of family that already has that segue of getting you into business. You may be adopting a business or absorbing a business once somebody, whatever, right? Or you may how to get out the mud. You may come from a family that knows nothing about business. Right. You grew up with nothing and you had to figure it out the hard way. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change. It's the same cycle. Understanding financial literacy, understanding basically how to attract clients, how to make money. It's all the same thing. It all comes down to marketing, sales, and technology. You know what I mean?
Have you heard about those brothers? They billionaires and they just copy other people's businesses. Have you heard about them?
Nah, I haven't.
Yeah, so they like all over the world. Like any business that blows up, I think like Uber, eBay, Airbnb, and a bunch of other businesses, they literally copy, they take it, they rename it something else in another country, they scale it, and then they sell it. And they do this over and over to the point that they multi-billionaires now. It's two brothers. I can't remember their name. I'm gonna make sure I put it up when I post this. But they do what we talking about. They literally just imitating other people's success. Like I think they did like Amazon in another country. Like they just go to countries, whatever got popular and making money, they make it their own version and sell it.
Exactly. And one thing I want to ask people too, and that's a great example of it, right? The reason why I say it's good to copy and do what somebody tells you to do is because if you had the answers, why aren't you a millionaire yet? If you knew what you was doing, if you had to decipher, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, why have you made your first $1 million? Why have you made your first 6 figures? It's the reason why, because you don't know what you don't know. And what you think know may not be what's the right thing to do, right? Because a lot of us, especially in the beginning of business, we're going from an emotional standpoint. I don't want nobody telling me what to do. I'm my own boss. I can make my own money.
Facts.
But you got to humble yourself, right? And that's why, like, I kind of don't like when people say, oh, I can't work a 9 to 5 because a 9 to 5 trained me to become a better CEO.
Absolutely.
And people don't realize that
Absolutely.
the same weekly meetings that I hated, the chain of command, having a engineering supervisor, you know what I'm saying, a senior engineering supervisor, then an engineering manager, you know, all the way up the chain. I didn't understand these things. I felt like it was annoying. I'm like, why is my company doing things like this? Until now, when I have my own business, I'm like, damn, I see why we're doing these things. I see why team meetings are important, because communication is one of the most important things you can have when you're operating a business with a team. Everybody has to be on the same page. We all got to have the same goal in mind. If somebody has a good idea, let's present it to the team so we all can put our opinion in it. That's how you build culture. That's how you build more than just a one-man team. Second thing, having that chain of command. Small businesses, they're afraid to hire out a lot of times because they think they're making less money, but they're really shooting themselves in the foot. The reason why is you only can take on more business when you have more manpower to accommodate that business. You know what I mean? So that chain of command, you're hiring people, but it also keeps you from working in the business to focusing on the business. Your assistant, your team, your reps shouldn't come to you for very little, you know, miscellaneous things. They need to go to that supervisor, that manager to get that done. You know what I'm saying? You should only be hearing about the big things. And that's where I see that chain of command actually coming in and being very beneficial.
Chain of command is very important. Communication is very important. I know one thing I learned, the military taught me this, is never assume anything. Like never assume. It could be the most common knowledge that you would be like, oh, this person has to know that. But that one misstep in communication could change a lot of things by you just assuming, oh, that person already knew.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with asking. Sometimes people are like, oh, this might be a dumb question, but I just have to verify first to make sure everything on the up and up. Communication, as you already said, is everything. It's everything. It's everything in everything.
Yeah.
In relationships, business, parenting. Communication is everything.
Everything. It's literally everywhere, right?
Like you gotta, and I feel like us as men, like a lot of times we just like, if it ain't super important, we like, I don't really want, ain't no point in talking about it, but everything gotta be like figured out. So
exactly,
that's real, bro.
And just an example too about that I was like, okay, we're gonna over communicate from now on.
Yeah.
I gave a general task to my team to do. And it's like 10 of us, right? I gave a general task to my team to do. And everybody just liked it, right? Well, I shortened it up. The shit fell through, right? It fell through. It didn't get done, right? And it was something actually important. And when we had a team meeting, I brought it up. Everybody thought the other person was going to do it.
Exactly.
But nobody did it.
Exactly. That's real. Everybody just assumed like, I thought like, nah, you don't want to assume anything.
Yeah.
I have that mindset when it comes to everything in my life, bro. From, like I said, relationships to my daughter, to my business. I don't want to assume nothing. I ask something, they'll be like, that's obvious. Like, well, I ain't gonna make, they used to tell me in the military, you make assumptions, you make an ass out of yourself. and that's real. And I learned that the hard way. That's real. But I want to go back to funding for a second, right? So let's say somebody, right, that's young, or they might not even be young. They just got some decent money, probably got some decent cash, got a 700 credit score. What are some ways they could get funded ASAP?
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. Do they have a current business that they're generating revenue?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So how much are they generating?
And this, let's say they generating $5,000 a month.
$5,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's a couple ways they can get funding ASAP. So understand with lending, the quicker you get it, the more expensive it's going to be. So if you need it,
what you mean by that?
By like, that's a saying that we say in this space, right? So if you need funding next day, like it's an emergency, it's going to be a higher rate. It's going to be a higher rate,
that
right?
makes sense. That makes sense.
So when it comes to traditional lending, that's usually the rates people are looking for, whether it's like 0% or 5 to 7%, really good rate. It's going to probably take a week, maybe 2 for underwriting, depending on the type of funding it is, right? But if you want funding like tomorrow or in the next 12 hours, it's going to be expensive because money comes at a cost. Like no bank you can walk into and get money today. You know what I mean? Most of the time. It's going to take time. Even if you get approved online, it takes time for the card to get to you, all these good things, right? So when it comes to that, you can get into MCAs, merchant cash advance, or revenue-based products like lines of credit. Those things basically you can connect. They basically see your cash flow and you're able to get approved right away and use those funds right away if you need funding tomorrow. A couple other places you can run is actually American Express that people don't look at. So American Express, they have applied with a confidence feature to where they actually solve for your credit. And you can connect your account as well, and they'll look at your revenue and they'll be able to give you an approval right away. with American Express that people don't know, when you're approved, they give you that like card number right away so you actually can use it. But they're one of the only banks that do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
So that's one way you can get funding like tomorrow is through like private money, alternative lending, which you specialize in, revenue-based lending, or like using like American Express or other fintech companies like an Idea Financial or different things like that, that basically you can connect your account, they soft pull your credit, give you an approval, money in your account the next day or same day.
Talk about. I want to talk about this for a second because we was talking before the show, and you was telling me how you left Atlanta and now you ventured out into Vegas, and I think this is a really important conversation. And just talking about the importance of being in a mindset of leaving one place that you like, nah, this place may not be for me right now, but I'm gonna go venture out and I'm gonna go to somewhere else. Because I think there's so many people, bro, that know they need to do that, but they scared to take that step.
Yeah.
So talk about you doing that, why you do it, how you have the confidence to even do that, because that's scary to a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. So I'm really big when it comes to focus. Focus is one of the things that I feel like allows you to exceed in anything, whether it's sports, a job, entrepreneurship, whatever the case may be. If you know that the city that you're in, you can't focus because family, friends, just the environment, you're too comfortable there, it's time to move. Because as an entrepreneur, you see the most growth when you're uncomfortable, when you have time to isolate yourself and focus on actually getting to a goal, accomplishing a goal. So my mindset with moving from Atlanta to Vegas, it was scary, but I just wanted different. I felt like in Atlanta at the time, at least, I wasn't connected with a lot of people. It wasn't a lot of genuine people. Everybody want to be somebody. Everybody want to look like they're a millionaire, but let's be real. It's only so many millionaires or even six-figure earners in Atlanta, just being real.
Exactly.
And I felt like it just wasn't authentic at the time. And I just wanted to separate myself and create my own. And that's why I moved to Vegas. But I still love Atlanta. The culture there, man, is one thing that I miss, just being there. But that pathway, my mindset with it was, hey, I'm going to use this short term to be able to focus and grow my business. And it's paid off. You know what I mean? Just being isolated, being in a new city, away from distractions. And that can be relationships. That can be previous partners, friends. You never know. You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable as an entrepreneur. And that's where you're going to really see the growth at.
And was that your first move?
Yeah.
The first time, picking up and getting up out of there?
Yep. Because I went to college at Georgia Southern. So that's states, bro. That's 3 hours from Atlanta, right? But once I graduated college, I was an engineer in Atlanta, basically. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do something a little bit different. And I kind of just moved. I don't got any family out there, anything. Just me actually building and really staying focused on the goal.
And that's why it's so crazy to me, because and I've done this myself. When I moved to Dallas, I didn't know anybody here. I didn't even come to Dallas. I didn't know anything about Dallas. I just said I'm gonna move to Dallas because I Googled what's the up and coming city in business, and Dallas was like #1 at the time. So I said I guess I'm gonna go to Dallas. But I understand that mindset. But I feel like a lot of people, it's hard for them to really, because people always ask me, they like, how do you even? And for me, it's simple. Like, it's me, it's just very simple. Like, this place ain't work. I don't like this place. I'm going to a new place. But I know for a lot of people, it's like that mindset is very foreign. And it's like they got their family there on the lead, their friends that they came up with, the people they went to school with. It's hard to just detach, go somewhere completely different, don't know nobody, and just figure it out.
Gotcha. So what I would say, and I don't want to come off as an a-hole, but I just want to be direct, 1,000% honest. You got to understand, what are your goals and what do you really want to achieve? We know a lot of people that say they want to get in the business and start a business, but they've been saying that for the last 10 years and haven't done a damn thing, right? Facts. So at the end of the day, you got to make this decision. This is the most simplest way I can identify this to make it make sense. Do you want to set yourself up to achieve your goals and start that business? Or do you want to be in your same situation, but just being around the same people? That's as simple as it is, right? Because if you're complaining about leaving your family and your friends, well, your family and your friends, they're going to be there to support you in a way, depending on who your family and friends are, but they're not going to put money in your pocket. They're not going to build your business for you. So sometimes you got to make a personal, a business decision and put yourself first. And I tell people that all the time, like, so many entrepreneurs, trust me, I'm a very generous person. I'll give you the shirt on my back, right? But I learned early on, to be successful in business, you got to be selfish. You got to put yourself first. And the reason I say that to people is, if you don't put yourself first and you broke and you got 2 pennies, you giving your cousin a penny, both of y'all still broke. You can't provide value to that person. You know what I mean? You got to set yourself first and put yourself in a position to where you can give back. But if you're not in that position, then you need to figure out you first and develop yourself before going out to say families and friends and different things like that. That may be harder than most people want to hear, but it's the truth. Because in reality, it's the not knowing, it's the fear, right? And it's the comfortability that holds people back. They don't know what they're going to do once they get out there or how it's going to actually be. It's the fear of going out there and failing and people talking smack about them. And then it's the uncomfortability because they don't have anybody. Their friends are in one state, they're in another state. But all of those factors can help you. Instead of saying, what if I don't? What if you do? What if you do go out to that another state? What if you do move out to another city and you become successful and you make your first million? How does that feel compared to just staying in your same city around people that are not on your level or not where you want to be at, and y'all talking about the same thing for the next 3 years? You know what I mean?
And something you said earlier where you mentioned social media popularizing stuff, I think people, like, a lot of times people don't just look up. You'll see things on the internet, social media, and you think things are more common than they are. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize that. I looked this up. It says the average 50-year-old, or it said only about 16% of people 50 and over make $100,000 a year. And for 30 and under, I think it's like 6%. So you could go look online and it seems like everybody is doing miraculous things financially, but the reality is far from what it really is.
100%.
And when you understand that, I think that will put you putting things in the proper perspective, but you also not putting this crazy expectation and pressure on yourself if you don't accomplish it. Because the reality, and I say this humbly, people like you and I, you do good financially at a young age. This is not the rule. It's an exception. That's just really what it is. That don't mean we greater than anybody. We just blessed and probably worked a little bit harder and differently than a lot of people. But that's not the norm. That don't let social media fool you into thinking everybody out here got a bad. Like most people, and especially when you're young, you're supposed to not have it.
Exactly.
You're not supposed to be 25 and super, super up.
Exactly.
Unless that's what you come from.
And that's one thing I feel like social media, it's a good and a bad thing. It's a good thing because you do have resources. You can connect with people that you would have not known otherwise, right? So there's a ton of great things about social media. But the bad thing about it is everybody depicts as if they have it together. Everybody, like, bro, I'm pretty sure you know people that on their IG, they look like they're a 7-figure earner. But in real life, the cars, the chains, the stuff they showing ain't even theirs. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where everybody puts on their best fit for Instagram to portray an image. But you got to turn that stuff off and stay in your lane and focus. I don't even be knowing what's going on in the news because I'm so invested on what I do. You know what I'm saying? I just move with how I move. So the best thing you can do is look for resources, information, and connecting with the right people on social media, but don't compare yourself because you do not know what that person in reality is doing on a day-to-day basis. People rent lifestyles. And I don't think they know that. Just because somebody posts a car on social media does not mean that's their car. Right. Just because somebody wearing a chain on social media does not mean that's their chain. Just because somebody show you a screenshot does not mean that's their screenshot. That's real. That is real. Right. You know what I mean? So don't compare yourself because the time that you're taking to look into somebody else's life, you're taking away from your life and what you could be doing in that time. So use it as a resource, motivation, but turn that stuff off, put your phone on D&D, turn it off, and get to work on what matters in your life because that's what really impacts you is you actually getting to where you want to go in life.
I love that, bro. Are there any funding trends you see coming in the next 3 to 5 years that people need to be looking out for?
I would say funding trends, not so much funding trends, but I would say just setting yourself up. Like funding is always going to be around. People always saying banks are tightening up, but they've been saying that for the last 10 years, even with COVID, you know what I mean? So I would say the best thing you can do, not to just give you like hacks or anything, because I'm kind of against just hacks, is just make sure that you understand credit from a great standpoint. Understand how credit works, understand building out your credit, understand what your goal is, right? And then start getting the business and generating revenue. The biggest thing that I see people lacking is they have the credit, but they don't have the revenue, but they need $600,000. That's not gonna happen if you don't have any revenue to proof of concept to show that you can handle 600,000. So it's good to get your first $50,000 to $100,000 in business, but when you want to get higher, bigger loans like SBAs, things that we do for our more established business owners, you're gonna have to start generating revenue. So get the funding you need, and you don't need hundreds of thousands. You may just need 50,000. Get what you need, and instantly go into actually running a business, building a business, start generating revenue. Because what happens is you don't have to worry about what bank is pulling no docs, because you have the docs to be able to get you more funding.
Right.
And that's what I kind of like to segue people into. Like, I'm really, really in this space, and it gets frustrating sometimes where people come to us and they already had $150,000 in 0% funding. And they're like, okay, I need more funding. And it's like almost a year. So they're saying like, oh, my 0% is about to run out. And I'm like, okay, so you had $150,000. What did you do with that $150,000? What do you have to show for it? And they have nothing to show for it. So you telling me you had $150,000 for 0% interest for 12 months and you did nothing with it, and you're looking for more no doc funding? It don't work like that. How it should work is when you're in business and you're a startup, you should be able to get 0% interest funding, right? But you need to put that into an actual avenue, an asset, something that's going to be able to give you a return on your investment. So next time it comes around for your second, third round of funding, you have documentation. But people get this money and start to live off of it. And that's why I try to like push that narrative. Like, credit is not for everybody. Funding is not for everybody. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody.
Facts.
I know people probably don't come on your podcast and say that, but I like to be as honest as possible, right? Because you give the wrong person the wrong thing, and you ruin their life.
You could destroy them. Money, I say this all the time, money, an abundance of it will destroy a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
Whatever your vices is, those demons you facing you ain't overcome, money ain't gonna make it better. If you an alcoholic, if you addicted to watching porn, you got lust problems, you a crazy gambler, you gluttonous, having money ain't gonna help you for real. It's gonna help destroy you.
Yeah. Or even if you don't know what to do with money. That should be the first thing. You should not be looking for money if you don't know what to do with money.
That's a fact.
Like, people get it so backwards. You need to be figuring out what you're going to put this money into to make money, right? You need an avenue. You need a business. You need some type of asset. And then once you figure that out, then you go to see how you can get the money. But I see so many people reversing that. They want to get the money and they just sit on it and don't know what to do with it. And they end up just spending it on dumb shit. They start going on trips. They start paying for everybody mentorship. And coaching is a great thing. But like we talked about in the beginning, you don't need 6, 7, 8 different mentors teach you 6, 7, 8 different things, because you're not going to go anywhere fast and you still got to pay this money back.
Facts.
So like I said, I'm one of those people, like, I'm not big on like, go get 100 million from here, go get 100,000 from here. I'm more so one of those people where like, do you have a game plan? And if you have a game plan, what can we do to help you? You know what I'm saying? Yep. Maximize this game plan. I'm not here to be responsible or tell somebody, yeah, I can get you 100,000 and you ain't doing nothing with it.
I love that, bro.
You know what I mean?
I love it because you see that a lot online. People just trying to get people funding, and you see you like, yo, that person ain't got no business even having a business, and they ain't got no business, so they just gonna get this money because we seen it with COVID. People getting this money, they going on trips, they going to the designer store. It's like you spent that money that ain't your money.
Exactly.
And now you got to pay them back, and you got like so I love that you say that, because a lot of people, they don't touch on that. Like, if you're gonna get this money, this funding, you got to have a plan.
Exactly. and I'm gonna say this too for the funds. I always got to bring it back to us. Understand that when you get funded, it is not the person who got you funded's job to tell you what to do with the money either.
Exactly.
So you're going to get a dumbass comment and say, yeah, they tell you how to get the money, but they don't tell you what to do with it. That's not our job, dumbass. My job is not to tell you what to do with the money once I get it for you. You should come to me with why you need the money, and I can help you get the money. So you're going to have a dumbass who's going to say that, but I want to make sure we make that clear.
They think they getting funded and a financial advisor. Like, no, bro, you got to go do that on your own. This is just to help you get the funding.
Exactly.
Yo, I love it. I love it. And this is the final thing I got for you before we wrap up. I'm gonna say some words out there, and the first thing that comes to your mind, I just want you to tell me what comes to your mind.
Got you.
All right. So the first one is scalability.
Scalability. I would say team.
Oh, I like that. Okay. ROI.
If the money makes sense.
Credit.
Leverage.
Oh, okay. Disruption.
Disruption?
Yep.
That's kind of hard. Disruption. What comes to my mind when I think of disruption? Chaos. I would
Chaos?
say, yeah.
Okay. Instagram.
Fake.
Okay, I got this. The final one I got for you. I can't remember this. I'm gonna come back to it. Hold on. I'm gonna come back to it. So, if you got one thing, right, before we wrap up, for people that's listening, they heard this great conversation, great value add, and they like, yo, I want to take some of that knowledge and use this ASAP, because that's what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
People finna hear this, they finna be like, hold on, let me get my shit right. I'm finna get active. What would you say what they need to do to get started before they even come to you or somebody like you? What they need to do first?
Mindset. Think bigger. Think bigger. Like the same work that it takes you to make your first 100,000, it's the same work it takes you to make your first $1 million. Just being honest. It's just more teams, but the same is at work. So set yourself up to be bigger than you can think right now. A lot of people say, hey, I just want something that can make me $5K a month. Why not something that can make you $50K a month? Why not something that can make you $100K a month? So I would say first, mindset, think bigger, set yourself up as a big company, even though you're not a big company yet. And then I would say invest, learn, execute. Invest to get higher information that you don't have, because we don't have all the answers.
Facts.
If you did have all the answers, you would be a millionaire or be where you want to be right now, right? Get the right information, learn the information. Don't think when you invest into something, it's going to do the work for you. You still have to understand, because you're still a business owner. You're trying to get into business. And then once you understand the information, execute at a high level, whether you're confident or not. The biggest thing you can do is start now, fail fast, learn from that, and become a better individual.
Fine.
So I would say that.
I love it. And this was the final word I had. Wealth. What come to your mind?
Wealth, legacy.
Like, what legacy mean to you?
Legacy means is something, it's what you leave behind for others, I feel like. Like legacy is an impact that you leave behind for others. And for me personally, I would say I want to leave behind something that's never been done before. I want my kids to not have to go through the struggles I went to. It was common in my family that, if my mom struggled, I had to struggle. So you struggling is just a part of what we got to do. Now, I want to set my kids up to where they don't have to struggle. They can go to a private school. They can go out and do these things and not have to get out the mud. Let's get that out of our community, bro. Everybody ain't got to get out the mud. We got families. I want a household with both my wife and myself and our fathers and in our kids' lives. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So just send our kids up to have success and not have to struggle like how we did. That's what we should be doing as parents. That's what we should be doing as this generation, passing down to the next generation. It's taking that struggling shit out. Struggling is a part of the journey, right? But it shouldn't be mandatory. If you did your job in your life, you know what I'm saying, of providing and setting up things, the next generation shouldn't have to struggle. Right. So I want to leave a legacy. You know
At least not financially.
Exactly.
Because everybody, as you know, we all still gonna go through stuff. Even when you got 10 billion, you still gonna have your own struggles. But those financial struggles that most of us inherit, we don't have to do that. They don't got to be the way.
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel you. So in wrapping up, bro, like I really appreciate this episode. This was fire, bro. But before I let you go, plug in all your stuff where people can become a client, where they can follow you, where they can get in contact with you, everything you got.
100%. So it's a couple things. If you're a business owner looking for business funding, you can go to waiterscapital.com. That's my business funding company. I have a team there. You can apply and one of my reps will speak with you directly to see how we can help you. You can follow me on Instagram at sted.waiters, LinkedIn, Stedman Waiters, Facebook, Stedman Waiters. Also, if you're interested in starting your own funding company, starting and growing it, I host a free funding workshop every Sunday. So I'll give you the link as well, but it's fun to success. And like I said, if you're wanting to get into this space, it's a very, very lucrative space. I got you. Come to the free funding workshop.
I love it. And as for me, y'all can follow me on all platforms at Xavier C. Miller. And y'all can find a Millionaire Mindsets podcast everywhere. There's YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And I appreciate y'all listening, tapping into this episode. See you guys next episode. Peace.